everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm bringing you my mid-May wrap-up. Now before we actually get into my mid-May wrap-up, I do want to let you guys know about some things that are coming up on my channel and in my life in general. Not a lot of changes as far as booktube goes, but it will change the way that you view my videos. So I have had this same background for a while now in front of this lovely bookshelf. The bookshelf is not going anywhere, but we are actually about to move into our first home. The day that I'm filming this video, my husband and I are going to be closing on our first home. We're very, very excited. So we're planning to move in a couple of weeks, but that is going to change the way that you see my videos just for a little while. We are going to be packing up all the books, so I might have a couple of videos filmed in front of an empty bookshelf, and then we will eventually have our bookshelf in our new house. So I do plan to do a moving vlog showing you guys how I'm taking everything down, moving it to our new house, and putting everything back up. But if you do see a couple of videos here on my channel with a blank bookshelf behind me, just bear with me and know that it is temporary. But as far as my mid-May wrap up, I have actually completed more books than I thought that I would so far in the month of May. I have been a little bit on the slumpier side in the last few days, to be honest, so I haven't finished a book in a while. I'm making my way through some very, very slowly, but with everything else that's going on in my life right now, I don't feel guilty about that, and it's not a worry, a concern for me, but that's just how it is. But as it stands, I have finished 7 books so far in the month of May, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into the video, if you're new here and you're not already, be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I completed in the month of May was The Chain by Adrienne McKenty. Now this is a horror novel where there is this entity called The Chain, where essentially a parent their child has been kidnapped. And in order to get their child back, they have to pay a ransom and kidnap somebody else's child. And then only when that child's parent has paid the ransom will they get their own child back. And that's how this chain has to keep going. If anybody goes to the police or otherwise try to break the chain, then they have to kill the child that they're kidnapping and start back over, or their child might be killed. So it is a whole shit show, and we are following our main character who gets involved in the chain. Now, I am not typically a horror reader. I can't even think of the last horror novel that I read, but I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. Obviously, trigger warnings galore for this novel. This is not for the faint of heart, but it was really intriguing, and it was one of those, like, it's like watching a bad car crash where it's horrific, but you just can't look away. I listened to this one on audiobook, and I found myself just wanting to keep getting back to it and listening and figuring out what was going to happen. Now, this is a straight up horror. It's not really a mystery, but I do wish that there would have been a little bit more mystery. I feel like some of the reveals about who's behind the chain and some of the reasonings behind some actions, those things were revealed too soon in my opinion, and I would have liked a little bit more build up and intrigue, but that's not what this book was trying to do, and I understand that and respect that. But regardless, this definitely did keep me on the edge of my seat. As a parent, it really got under my skin, so if you are sensitive to those things and you are a parent, this might not be the best book for you, but if you are interested, I would recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I listened to The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Now, this is a classic. It was originally published in 1903, and it essentially follows this dog and his journey throughout, I can't remember if it's in Canada or Alaska where the book is set, but he is traded to a couple of different men, and you get to get into his head and follow through his experiences with these men. Not all of them are pleasant. It is definitely a darker toned book, but that's where we're at here. We follow a dog in his journey through the wilderness with these different owners. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I listened to this on audio, and while there is nothing wrong with this novel, I did not dislike it in any way. I just don't remember it. I listened to it probably a week and a half ago at this point, and I can't even remember the dog's name. I barely remember any of the characters or anything that really happened. This is a very, very short book. It only took me a couple of hours to listen to on audio, so I would totally not be opposed to listening to it again. And I did rate it as soon as I finished, so I feel like that rating is pretty accurate, but just to be completely honest, I can't really give you a review of this because I don't remember a whole lot about it myself. I did enjoy it. I'd be interested in returning to it again and maybe taking it a little bit slower. I'd be interested in reading more from Jack London because his writing style is really, really atmospheric. He is certainly a talented writer, and that is the one thing that I remember from the story, is that the writing was captivating. So that's kind of where we stand. Maybe later on in the year I will revisit it and be able to give a more in-depth review, but as it stands, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I completed A Quart of Mist, Infuriate by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and this, I don't even feel like it needs a synopsis because everybody already knows, but it was just as good as everybody says. I was so nervous going into this novel because usually second books in series don't do that well for me, and I was scared, and everybody, I had literally never heard anybody give it a rating below a 4-star. Most were 5 stars. I was very scared that it was not going to live up to that potential, but no, it was phenomenal. In the first book, we mainly stay in one area of the Fae world, and in this book, we get to see a lot more of that, and a lot more characters, and just a lot more going on in general, and I really, really enjoyed that. I've always thought that Sarah J. Maas is an incredible world builder. You can definitely see that in this book, and hopefully in the third book as well. I'm hoping we'll get to see a little bit more of the world even then, but it was amazing. The slow burn, hate to lovers romance in this is like top quality, god tier. You cannot ask for anything better. It was so good. So if you are like me and you have slept on this series, go pick it up. It's phenomenal. They're just like candy. It was so fast and easy to read, and I just never wanted it to stop. So I'm definitely going to be picking up the third book very, very soon. Obviously, I wound up giving this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I finally completed Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. This is the 4th book in the Harry Potter series. You guys know, if you watched my end of April wrap up, that I did not get to complete this book in April like I had planned to. I did wind up bringing it over into the month of May. This is a long one. I think it's the second longest book in the series, but again, I don't feel like this one needs a synopsis. We are with Harry in Hogwarts in his 4th year. This was really good. Everybody loves it. I don't feel like this is a ton of people's favorites, and it wasn't my favorite either. I do feel like the beginning couple hundred pages before he even gets to Hogwarts do drag on a little bit for my taste, but once we actually get to the school and things start picking up and we start getting into the Triwizard Tournament, it is phenomenal from there on out. And the ending, that last couple of scenes, so good, and it propels us into the rest of the series. So I wound up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm very interested to go into the Order of the Phoenix, which I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't remember anything that happens in the Order of the Phoenix. I've only read it once, 8 years ago, and I don't think I've ever seen the movie. So I have absolutely no idea what I'm getting myself into. Next, I finally completed The King of Crows by Libba Bray. This is the 4th and final book in the Diviners series. I can't even believe that the series is over. I feel like everyone's already familiar with the Diviners, but if you don't know what it is about, it follows our main character, Evie. These books are set in 1920s New York, and Evie has this special ability where she can touch an item and learn about its past and see where it's come from. And throughout the course of these novels, she winds up finding a bunch of other teenagers with these same powers. So they're wondering how this happened to them, how they're all involved, and they are working together to defeat several different villains, but the main villain is the King of Crows, and we figure out what happens with him in this final novel. Now, I was anticipating this one for forever. The Diviners is one of my favorite series of all time. I listened to this one on audiobook, just like I've done with all of the other novels. January Lavoie narrates this, and she is absolutely phenomenal every single time. She's amazing. This book was so good. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that it's gotten the best reviews. I've seen a lot of people give it like a 3.5 stars, saying that it's okay, but it wasn't their favorite book in the series. I am not far enough removed yet to say if it was my favorite book in the series, but it's up there, man. This book was so good. We got all the resolution that I needed. I know a lot of people said that they didn't get the resolution that they wanted, but I thought that it was really, really well done. We got to see a ton more of America, which I loved. Getting to go on journeys with our characters instead of just staying in New York, I thought was so cool. And their powers coming together and the way that they interacted in the end, and oh, it was just so good. And the epilogue was everything to me. Libba Bray is a queen. I love this book. I love this series. If you've read it, please talk to me in the comments down below. Warn everybody if you are going to put spoilers down there so that nobody gets spoiled, but this was so good. I obviously gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And just throwing this out there, as it stands right now, I think that my ranking of these books is Before the Devil Breaks You is my favorite, and then The King of Crows, and then The Diviners, and then Lair of Dreams. The next book that I read was an e-arc, so thank you to NetGalley, the publisher and the author, for sending me a copy of Breath Like Water by Anna Jarzab. This book is set to come out on May 19th, so just a couple weeks away, and we follow our main character, Susanna, who is a swimmer. She is very, very talented. She's been a competitive swimmer for several years now, and when she was younger, she was incredibly successful. Everybody thought that she was on her way to the Olympics, and then her career kind of slowed down a little bit, and she lost a little bit of that fire, and she wasn't as highly revered anymore. So in this book, we are following her trying to build back up to where she was, and she also meets this guy, Harry, that comes to her school, starts to swim for the boys team, and of course they have a relationship in there as well. And it's just your typical classic sports-themed YA romance. Now, this book reminded me a lot of another book that I read earlier this year called Every Reason We Shouldn't, and that book followed a girl that was a figure skater. This book reminded me a lot of that, but just with swimming. Now, I did really enjoy the swimming aspect of this. I don't know a lot about the sport of swimming, and I feel like the author did a nice job of breaking some of those things down without it taking over the whole book or dumbing things down for readers that might know more about swimming, but I did enjoy getting to learn about the sport throughout the novel. I did also really enjoy getting to know our main characters. I feel like they were pretty well developed, and they could obviously be annoying at times. I mean, this is a YA novel. These characters are 16, 17 years old, so I think that that is going to happen in a YA novel at times, but I did still enjoy getting to learn about them and learn about their relationships with each other. I will say I loved the family relationships in this. They are really well thought out and very, very well done, and I hated the swim coach with a fiery passion. I have never been involved in the sport of swimming, so I don't know how the coaches typically act, but I feel like there is absolutely no reason for the coach to have been such a shitbag like he was, but you're supposed to not like him, so I understand, but at the same time, I really hated him. One thing that I will say about this novel before you go into it is there is a trigger warning for self-harm and suicide that is not at all discussed in the synopsis, and it does not come into play until the novel until about halfway through, or even longer than that maybe. So if that affects you, please know that going in, because there is a pretty graphic self-harm scene towards the midway point of this novel. So I wish that that would have been put in the synopsis somewhere, or some kind of warning or something that we were going to be getting ourselves into that, because self-harm is not something that typically triggers me, but this scene was incredibly graphic and it did make me a little bit uneasy, so please know that going in. But overall, I really did enjoy this novel. I think this author has published a couple of their works in the past, so I'd be interested in visiting them, and I wound up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I have completed so far in the month of May is actually a reread, and that is The Selection by Kira Cass. And we've all heard by now the fact that this is going to be adapted. I don't remember if it's going to be a TV show or a movie, but regardless, I'm excited. I read this book back early last year, and I very, very much enjoyed it, and same thing this time around. I listened to it on audio, finished it in a day. It was so good. Again, I feel like everybody knows this. This is everybody's guilty pleasure novel on BookTube, but if you don't know what it's about, essentially, it is The Bachelor, but royal, and it is candy. It is just so addictive, and I really do enjoy the characters. I like the plot. I like where this is going. I do feel like the writing is a little bit simplistic. If that bothers you, it doesn't bother me. I loved getting to revisit this world, and I'm really glad that I did revisit it before continuing on with the series. I have never read past this one, so I am looking to at least get to the Elite in May and then continue on from there. I probably won't read the spin-off sequels. I'm gonna stop after the one, I think. But regardless, this was very, very good this time around. Super quick. If you just need something fun and light and fluffy, you know, there's this. I wound up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. So that is it for my mid-May wrap-up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know if you have read any of these novels. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to go down and give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!